I hope you guys heard that. That was beautiful. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over the all-new 2020 Maserati Levante GranSport. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Maserati here of downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Levante. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Now, under the hood of the Levante, we have a twin-turbo 3-liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission, with fuel economy being 15 around town and then 21 on the highway, and power outputs being 345 horsepower and then 369 pound-feet of torque. A quick side note, I love the presentation here of the 3-liter V6. I love how they've made everything symmetrical here under the engine bay and how it all leads to the engine there in the center. It just looks absolutely beautiful. Let's go over the front end of the Levante. So first off, I love how the hood kind of slopes down at an angle. You guys will be able to see it from the side view just a little bit better. But coming to the lights, you've got these full LED lights with the LED accent light just up above. And I feel like this whole lighting cluster area just looks really nice from a design standpoint. You've got a bunch of venting here on the side and then all across the front. And then notice they've very nicely integrated the parking sensors into the venting and then into the front bumper. You just really don't notice them. And then I love the grille with the signature Trident logo there in the center, and then you do have the Maserati logo with another Trident just up above it. But from a front end perspective, this has to be one of the best, if not the best looking SUVs on the market. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 65mm tires wrapped on 21-inch wheels in the front and in the rear as well. The Levante also comes with air suspension. And then if we look a little bit closer, so look how they've done just like a ton of spokes there for the design on the wheel. I think it looks really good from an aesthetic perspective. And then they've got the Maserati script right there on the brake caliper, which has been finished in black, which contrasts nicely to the red paint on this particular car. And then you've got your GranSport badge there on the side. And then you've got the little venting pieces right here, which look cool from an aesthetic perspective. And then other than that, notice that they don't like overdo it with the chrome. Like everything is pretty much body painted here on the side. They do black out the mirrors, which definitely helps out in terms of breaking things up. But yeah, there's your full side view. Now let's pop into the trunk here of the Levante. So first off, we can pick up this tab right here. You do get some extra storage underneath, which is a nice touch. And then notice that they've got this strap right here on the side, so you can obviously store papers if you want, for example. And then you do have a 12-volt, and it kind of echoes back here, which is funny. And then there is a cargo cover that's already been built in with the car, and it's very soft on the top, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it definitely feels nice there on the top portion. And then down here, notice that you can lock it from the rear and then also lower down the hatch. So for example, we can just press that and then the hatch will pop back down into place. Now let's finish things up in the rear. So first off, we'll unlock it so that you guys can see the taillights here in the back, which are absolutely beautiful. They really match with the overall design of the Levante just from a shape perspective, and it kind of looks like an eye in a way. But other than that, you've got the Trident logo there at the top, and then you have a spoiler up here, which I think is just perfect. It's not overstated or anything like that. Q4 badge, which means that this does have all-wheel drive, and then you've got the Levante logo on the other side. And then I love the look of the exhaust tips, and yes, they are on either side. Definitely gives it a sporty, aggressive look from the lower portion, but that's everything for the rear. Now let's go over the door panel here in the rear. So first off, notice you've got leather pretty much over the entirety of the door panel. And then I love the stitching design here in the center portion. And you've got your door lock and unlock even for the rear passengers, the window control back here. And then look what they did design-wise. They have this metal strip that goes and connects with the door handle. Just looks really nice. And then this does come with the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. And then you have your heated seat control just down below that with the Maserati plaque. And then here are the seats in the rear. So again, full leather. You've got the Maserati Trident there at the top of the seat. Perforated leather here, and then notice they did stitching all down the center, which looks really nice design-wise. And the perforated leather even continues here onto these sides. But let's actually pop in. So stepping in, you pretty much just slide right across. Entry height is just perfect. Headroom is really good. Back here, I'm 5'11", and then legroom's solid as well. And then notice they give you a storage net back here. And then we've got some vents, and you've got a couple USBs with a 12-volt hiding behind that tab right there. And then we can pull this down. They give you a nice leather strap to pull from, and that pulls down the armrest with a couple of cup holders, and that's all for the back of the Levante. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front, which is just as beautiful as the door panel in the rear. So again, you've got the leather here at the top, and then you've got the leather with the stitching here in the middle portion, then where you're gonna rest your arm as well. All of your window controls, and then that's just the power fold function for the mirrors. And they do the same design thing here with the door handle. Memory seats right there, kind of mixed into everything, and then a couple more speakers for the Bowers and Wilkins sound system. And then again, another Maserati emblem. And then here are the seats at the front. Design-wise, I love how they're shaped. Again, you've got the trident there at the top, and then look at the bolstering here and then just down below as well. And then just notice you've got the dark stitching there that goes all the way down the center portion. Your adjustments are right there on the side of the seat. And then look at the pedals. Again, look really cool. I love how they have the trident in the middle of the brake pedal. You're never gonna look there, but they still did that design-wise. And then you've got your light control, and the stop-start button's actually over here on the left side, which is kind of like race car heritage-esque, which I think is nice. And then look at these paddles. Trust me, you guys are gonna love the paddles. But there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel with the Levante. So first off, you got the soft touch leather at the top, and then perforated leather on either side of the steering wheel, and then they have smoothed leather here on the inside portion. From a design perspective, it makes it look really cool, but it's also very functional. The parts we're gonna grab the most often have the perforated leather so that you can get a better grip on the steering wheel. And then you've got your normal practical everyday car stuff. You've got your phone controls, voice command controls, cruise control over here on the other side. And my favorite part is the paddles are mounted to the column instead of the steering wheel, and so not only are they massive, but it's definitely just, it's a cool feeling, cool look, and it's Ferrari-esque. Here is the center stack. So first off, they've mixed old school gauges with a screen, which I really like, especially in a performance vehicle like this, because I just like the look of an analog gauge versus a screen gauge. But looking there for the center screen, this just gives you different bits of information on the Levante. I mean, pretty much anything that you could want information-wise is going to be in this center screen right here. And it's really easy to use. It's just a menu. I like how they have the menu options numbered right there, so it lets you know which one you're at, and then you obviously can go, okay, well, it's 1 through 10, and then you know when you're going to be able to get back all the way through the menu. So yeah, definitely a cool thing. And then notice it also shows where we're at with the air suspension there on that portion. Now here's the dash of the Levante. Beautiful leather. You've got the blacked out stitching all over, and then the leather trim that goes all around. You got that cool clock there at the top, which has the Maserati trident, and then you have the vent here, which you can open or close with that. I think that's super unique. Never seen that in a car before. They usually don't let you control that, but in the Levante, they do. Here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to go over the camera system part of it. So we're gonna pop it into reverse. Notice we've got the bird's eye view, and then we've got the backup camera, but we've got more viewpoints than that. You can even see out of the front of the car, and you get trajectory lines out of the front, which is a huge plus for me. You guys know I'm an off-road enthusiast, and even though this isn't necessarily the vehicle that people are going to take off-road, it's still nice, especially in tight parking spaces when you're pulling forward. Having something like this is a game changer. So from a camera system perspective, really good. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, notice how good the response time is, and then they've got the shortcut bar here at the bottom, and then I love how the homepage button is the Maserati Triton. Again, another cool design touch right there. This does come with heated and cooled seats. I mean, again, it's a luxury vehicle, so it's kind of to be expected. And then you do get the heated steering wheel, all those controls right there. And then you can change this menu. You just have to hold something down, and then you can basically just drag and drop it down into this menu. I'm just gonna leave it at this format, but that's definitely a cool thing you can do. Now down below the infotainment system, we've got analog controls for the climate system, so you can use the climate controls on the screen or the analog controls, whichever you prefer. And then you have this tray right here, which you just push down, and then it elegantly goes back. You've got an auxiliary there, and then you've got some USBs, and then it's all lined with felt down here, so definitely a nice place to store delicate items. Now we have the whole center area right here. So first off, got a couple of cup holders right here, and then you can just cover it with that trim piece if you so desire. This is just for the radio, the volume control. This is for the air suspension to raise or lower the Levante. The parking brakes right over here. This is the sport suspension button, or I should just rather say the suspension button. It'll pop on right there, so you can turn on the sport suspension or turn it off. Most of the time you're probably gonna have it in the regular suspension, but if you want better handling, then just turn that function on. And then you have all the different drive modes right here. So you've got your sport, ice, off-road, and then the stability control. I'm glad that it's a bunch of buttons, so you can just press the button and then go into the drive mode that you desire, rather than having to go through a whole screen. And you guys probably heard how loud it got. Just listen. Yeah, it definitely Definitely gets a lot louder in sport mode when it opens up the exhaust. We've got the center console right here, and to open it up, you just press that button, and then storage space in here is absolutely massive, and then give you cup holders there at the very bottom, which I think is pretty neat. Not a lot of center consoles have that, and then when you're done with it, you just have to close it. Completely covered in leather, and then again, you guys probably already saw, but again, this part of the dash is also covered in leather, and then you've got that black trim with the metallic trim at the bottom, and then opening up the glove box, fully lined with felts. The one thing I do want to mention is even on the outside of the glove box, they've lined it with leather. Now there's a few things happening here at the top. So first off, we have a full panoramic sunroof here at the top, which is definitely nice. The controls for it are just in that area. And then notice that we've got the suede headliner here at the top, which is definitely a nice touch. And they even continue it there onto the headrest, which again, just from a feel perspective is just really, really nice. And here is the window sticker for this 2020 Levante. And obviously it has a beautiful red paint. We saw it's Rosso Energia. I probably said that wrong. I am so sorry. But yeah, definitely a cool window sticker. I love how it's all laminated. This is the base MSRP before any options are added to the car. And then this is all the standard equipment that comes with it. So feel free to freeze the frame of the video if you want to read through all of the options. This comes with a massive amount of standard equipment. And then there are a few options. Now the paint is the most expensive option, $6,500. And there is your total MSRP, $98,485. Let's take this Levante out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the Levante. So first off, visibility over the hood is really easy. It does slope down a little bit, but again, it's actually pretty easy to see out of it, and the windshield's massive. There's your visibility through both the mirrors, and I love the rear haunches. I can see it pop out, just beautiful body lines. And they do have blind spot monitoring, and there's your other mirror. And then here's the visibility throughout the rest of the rear, which remember, even though the visibility out of these windows, there's kind of like a little bit of a blind spot, it has blind spot monitoring, so it's not actually an issue. And that all being said, let's set off. We are setting off here in this Levante, and first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, it definitely fits for a luxury SUV. It's very smooth, and I've picked out this road to do my reviews here because this road's really beat up after the winter time. There's just a lot of cracks and all this kind of stuff, and this is where you can really tell if a car has good suspension, and the air suspension with the Levante is perfect. It smooths everything out. So if you want to have a luxury car experience, you can 100% have it with the Levante from a ride quality perspective. And then in terms of a noise perspective, again, we're in downtown Salt Lake, which is a pretty noisy area, from the traffic to people screaming random stuff and everything. I'm just kidding. It's a fun place down here, but it's a noisy place, and the cabin's very well insulated. You don't hear a ton of noise coming through, which again lends to that luxury car experience. And the brake feel, ooh, it's perfect. You definitely, like, it's not too intrusive where like you just get a ton of bite and it feels like you're a new driver again. It's just very progressive, but you can tell it has really good stopping power. Now I'm just still here in the normal mode, but I am in the manual mode. I kind of want to see how these paddles perform. I love the feeling of them. Yeah, they're so sweet. The response time on the paddles is really good actually in the normal mode. I'm going to pop it back into automatic mode. But yeah, I love the feeling of them. Definitely feel way nicer than the paddles that you get in pretty much 99% of the cars out there, just because they're metal. But then on top of that, the large size just makes it feel like you're doing something significant here with the Levante when you do press one of the paddles here. I got the UPS truck, and right next to it we have the US Postal Service right there getting in our way. But yeah, definitely love the response time with the paddles. Now I'm going to pop it over into the sport mode, and then we're going to pop it back into the manual mode as well. We'll get some downshifts. Ooh, that sounds good. Once those valves are open, it definitely has a very good sound to it. And we'll get kind of a partial acceleration here. I hope you guys heard that. That was beautiful. I mean, for a 3-liter V6, this has to be the best sounding 3-liter V6 on the market. That is one thing that Maserati just completely knocks out of the park, is their exhaust notes. They just sound so beautiful. We're gonna kind of go slow here so that we can get a couple more downshifts, and then we'll be able to get another partial acceleration so you guys can hear that beautiful exhaust. Perfect. We went slow enough so we ran into a red light, so I can give you guys another acceleration in just a moment. So we're gonna listen to that beautiful exhaust note again. Oh, it sounds so good. I could listen to that all day long. That is so amazing. I'm so excited to drive the Levante with the V8 in the near future, because if they make their V6s sound this good, imagine what they make the V8s sound like. Well, one more and then we'll sum things up. It's quick too. Let me tell you, it is quick. Gosh, this has got to be the best sounding V6 on the market. But let's sum things up with the Levante. So, first off, from an exterior aesthetics perspective, it is just absolutely beautiful. It's not overstated. It doesn't have any crazy stylistic things happening or anything like that. It's just beautiful on the outside. No arguments on that whatsoever. And then from the interior, it's definitely has a luxury car interior. You have everything covered in leather, and this is kind of more of your normal luxury car interior because everything's all blacked out. And so it definitely lends to kind of like this like dark luxury car feel, which isn't a bad thing. I definitely like that feel in cars. And then from the performance standpoint, steering's great, suspension's great. I didn't put in the sport suspension mode just because we're on bumpy roads and all that kind of stuff, and it would have just made things stiffer. In the normal mode, it's perfect. The turn-in on it's great. The exhaust note sounds fantastic. The acceleration on it's great. The engine's really responsive. And so where I really see this standing is if you want a performance car and an SUV put into one, and then you also want a luxury car thrown in, that's what the Levante is. It's kind of like an all-purpose vehicle, which obviously that's what SUVs are nowadays, but you get the fun performance driving, you get the beautiful looks, you get the amazing sounds from that exhaust, and just overall, it's a really good package. Now that's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2020 Maserati Levante GranSport. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Maserati here of Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Levante. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.